What is up, guys? It's the Sound Alchemist here with the one, the only, the teeth-chattering Sound Alchemist.
Gershwin.
And today we're here to answer more questions in another For the Greater.
This is a video series where we answer the questions left by you, the viewer. If you have a question for us, comment down below. Put a question in front of your question because we get those questions first. The reason I was about to say I is because you made me think of teeth chattering. And the first time I made it to the U.S., it was O'Hare Airport. I was coming off the airplane, and I remember my teeth chattering. And I was like, oh, I thought this only happens in the cartoons. But I was like, it's happening now.
Yeah. Was it because it was cold?
It was freezing. It was like, I've never experienced a cold like I had that first time coming from like Mexico. I was like, yeah, this is not ordinary. But this is a video, I already said that.
Yeah.
If you guys like our banter, if you guys enjoy our content, please help us out with a super thanks. You can support us with a super thanks. If you have a question for us, ask. We'll answer it next time around. If not, you can just send us over a super thanks.
That's right. And unfortunately, we have no super thanks, but fortunately enough, we have many questions to answer.
Yes.
So this one is by none other than J Day. His question is, what do you guys think of the fate of humanity would have been like if the Emperor was never created?
That's a good question. So an Imperium without the Emperor.
Yes, that is a lot to think about because first of all, you got to remember that through the Emperor, he united all of Terra, created a whole system of planets that are able to trade and create defense forces and create the Astra Militarum, Sisters of Battle, the Space Marines, the Custodes, all of that gone.
Right.
I don't think that will still be possible. So basically, how would the Imperium look like without the Emperor? It wouldn't exist. Everything we know about Warhammer 40K would be centralized on Terra, and it would essentially be a techno-barbarian warlord battle game system.
Exactly, yeah. I think the key there is unity. The Emperor brought unity. During the golden age of technology, there wasn't even that much unity. It was mostly like colonization fleets going off and kind of doing their own thing. You have some Forge worlds, but even those Forge worlds were disconnected from the priesthood of Mars.
Right.
So I think that's what, like kind of what you said. It would be a game focused on Terra, and then all of these other races are assailing Terra. Not so much Terra or the Imperium being in control of the galaxy.
Right. Definitely, I don't think the Imperium would last, or Terra would last. Because, I mean, think about it. If the Necrons came out during that time period, I don't think there's anything freaking these techno-barbarians can do to withhold themselves. Like, they're just going to get swept.
Big time. And I think it would be kind of a cool skirmishy type of game because of that. But then at the same time, you would miss out on a lot of like the fluff, which is the Horus Heresy, which is the Great Crusade. All of that happened because of the Emperor.
Right.
So essentially, the Emperor is Alexander the Great. And Alexander the Great brought forth, the Greek states, unifying them, that later then became the Roman Empire, that later became the Western Empire, and all that kind of stuff. So without Alexander the Great, without the Emperor, there is no unity, coolness, and all that kind of stuff.
No advancement, really.
Yeah.
It'd be interesting to see how a game would be similar to that. Like, it would be almost, I feel like it'd be almost like Kill Team, but like Mad Max style with a bunch of like craziness.
Yeah.
Because they did have psychers back then.
Yeah.
But it was like crazy, like, I'm going to turn your warriors into glass.
Yeah.
And then we have psychic singers that will melt your brain if you hear their songs.
Yeah.
So that'd be pretty cool to see.
Yeah. Good question, though.
Yeah. Very mind thought-provoking.
This next one comes from, I have one from Lauren Tias. How teleportation works in 40K. I feel like we've answered this in the past, but basically it is a copy that gets sent through some type of like warp thingy or like a small jump through the warp, and then that material gets generated on the other side. So it's not like taking a copy, sending it over, the information builds the same thing. It's more of like it is the same atoms being sent through time and space through small warp jumps.
Kind of like The Fly.
Is that it?
I don't know, maybe, because like His DNA got like torn apart and then rebuilt in the other chamber, but unfortunately there was a fly there, so the DNA mixed and stuff.
So the opposite of that then, or not really.
Just that, but without any like. Well, no, because there are mishaps.
Yeah,
Because you could teleport inside of a building or a rock or something.
but I think it's almost like you envelop whatever it is that's being teleported from the teleportarium, and then send it over. And it's identical. So even if there was a fly stuck within the teleportarium, it's not like when it gets regenerated, that same fly is still there. It's not a fly's DNA that gets put into the Terminator or anything like that, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I get it.
Next question.
This one is by The Big One. Is there a website that you guys know of where I can check to see which thoughts in my hood have or have not smashed the homie? I really need to know.
No, but that sounds like an app you can create.
Mm-hmm.
You can call it Homie Hopper. Because it happens.
Mm-hmm.
They hop.
Yeah, and alliteration makes things catchy, so get on the homie hop.
Yeah. Homie Hop app.
Yes.
Or Homie app. No, Homie Hop. Next question.
This one's by Mecha Phantom. Do you guys know why does the Emperor need 10,000 souls each day to keep his powers / himself alive?
Because he likes that.
Because he likes that.
Yeah.
So it's a little up in the air. We don't know if it's the actual golden throne that requires a sacrifice of these psychers to fuel it to keep the Emperor alive, or if it's the Emperor himself that is using the golden throne as a means to keep himself alive.
Mm-hmm.
But either or, it's keeping him alive.
Yeah.
Yeah, we just don't know if it's the Emperor himself or the golden throne or a mixture of both or exactly what. But that is a lot when you think about it. I mean, the Imperium is kind of vast, and all these psychers could be used as a military force, but instead they're being used as fuel.
Yeah, and I think it's also like an scapegoat for the Imperium to be like, we don't really know what to do with all these psychers. We're taking the worst psychers, or psychers that unfortunately weren't exposed to the right training, so now they're just like a menace to society, and those are the ones that are going to be sacrificed.
Yeah, because you never want to be a menace to society while drinking juice in the hood.
No, definitely not. The black ships will just pick you up.
Right.
The paddy wagons.
The paddy wagon. Now I want to see like Ice Cube in the 40K universe.
As a psyker who could sacrifice.
Yeah, and it's funny because like that's kind of how the Imperium works. They don't really know how things work. They just know that it does work, so they keep it going.
Right, yeah. Sadly.
Mm-hmm.
If they would have stuck with the imperial truth, things would have been different. Maybe.
That was all a bunch of lies.
Maybe. No, it was, because it didn't include the reality of chaos.
You're right.
Yeah. Next question comes from Defool06. Where and what does Lord Inquisitor Cryptman up to now? I'm not too sure. Inquisitor Cryptman is the one who took the Genestealer brood, sent it into the Octarius sector, where the High Fleet ventured into the Octarius sector, knowing that it was controlled by orcs, and then the orcs and the orcs and the Tyranids had like this epic battle. Mm-hmm. But since then, GW has changed the lore a little bit, and it's not Tyranid versus Greenskin battle. It's more of like everything battle.
Yeah, you see a little bit of everything, kind of almost like a vacuum. It just draws in like war from all things.
Yeah.
But yeah, hopefully that answered your question.
We don't know. Next question.
This one is by Irador1982. What's going to happen if somehow, some way, Malkador the Sigillite were to return all of a sudden?
If Malkador returns, it would be interesting because he's basically the second most powerful human psyker, just basic human psyker. So I feel like he would have some type of connection to the High Lords. And he
would have to, yeah.
Yeah. And just like Gilliman took up the role as Gilliman, which would be like king, I guess, or hand of the king.
Yeah, yeah.
Malkador would have to take some type of position that would counter that, but more of like internal struggles as opposed to like, because Gilliman like right away went into his crusade.
Mm-hmm. But that's because he spoke to the Emperor, and it's like assumed the Emperor told him what he has to do.
Yeah.
With Malkador, I feel like Malkador would be more in line to, yes, still fill the role of Gilliman, where it's like he's speaking as the mouthpiece of the Emperor, but I think his main goal would be to find a way to revive the Emperor.
Could be, yeah. Because he was the main person for the Inquisition.
Right.
And that's what the Inquisition is, right? Or
Yeah.
has been trying to do.
Exactly, yes. So I think as being like the right hand of the Emperor, he would do more to further the Inquisition and actually get the Imperium looking to what the Emperor intended it to be like.
Right, yeah. Good question. If you guys have more questions for us, please comment down below. Thank you guys so much for listening and talking to us, and we'll talk next time.
That's right. Keep those questions coming, and we'll keep on giving you answers. It's been the Sound Alchemist here with
Gershwin.
and we are out.
Always used to put my freedom first in any situation.